Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I have been in the library all day after my STD checkup this morning.
Nice.
Cross fingers.
Nice. Fingers are crossed. What's your name and pronouns, and what do you have for breakfast?
Wait, I didn't get to ask you how you're doing.
Oh, me? I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I walked my dogs this morning.
I saw that on the river. That's gorgeous. Okay, my name and pronouns. Hi, my name and pronouns is Chris Staudinger. My pronouns are he, him, but I also do drag, and I like she, hers also, in or out of drag.
Oh,
But you know.
My name is August Knoblach. Pronouns are they, them. Sometimes I do drag with you, which is maybe a secret. Maybe we won't touch on that in this, but, you know. Sometimes we perform together. That is a fact. I had some potatoes for breakfast. What was your breakfast item?
Oh, I forgot to tell you that. I had a croissant and a cappuccino from 7-Eleven.
Nice.
Potatoes mashed.
No, like hash brown style, just like little squares. Yeah.
Wait, okay. I was gonna ask you something else. What about day down?
Oh, yeah, that's what I use. It's my pronouns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Day them, day down. That's right. So,
I heard that you're an environmental writer. Is that true?
that is true. Well, yes. So currently I'm working on a master's thesis, which is in the discipline of environmental psychology. And I am basically trying to learn more about people's conscious experiences when they're in nature. So like, does nature pull our attention away towards it, or does nature give our attention back to us and we kind of think inwardly, you know, like what's the interplay? Is it more of one thing or the other? Does it depend on the person? And then like also then what are the benefits of that? Because there's a lot of, the reason I'm studying is because people think that this interplay is really good for fostering creativity. So like, you know, go for a walk in the park, get a lot of crazy ideas, enact them or don't. So anyway, that's
that makes sense.
What I've been writing, but I've also written a lot of stories about Louisiana and environmental justice and kind of climate change. Lots of questions around those things too.
Totally. Yeah, I feel like both you and like Imani Jacqueline Brown, whatever y'all publish, I'm just like inhaling it immediately. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, like if there's like an academic or writer or kind of like multi-genre maker, I always really want to know what they're thinking about, especially if they're from Louisiana. So I feel like that definitely influences things that I do and how I go about my art practice is like just, I like to research.
First of all, I didn't think that I realized that about you, that you were inhaling my reading. So that is very, yeah, that's really nice. But, okay, so you also do research in your practice. Jay, we haven't really like talked so much about like your artistic practice, so I'm very excited to talk to you about it.
Cool. Okay.
When you say like, like research based, like what does that, what do you do for that? How does that look?
I don't know. I kind of
Researching lately.
get stuck on things. I think the series I do and have done since 2017, before that series, I would get stuck on different topics, but I would also get bored of them very easily and just move on in like 6 months or a year. And this one I don't really. It's like I just keep playing with the same sort of performance and the same sort of material. But I feel like there's a lot of ways to research. Like I can research with my hands and just physically research, or a lot of like everything I work with, except for like technology, I'll like get from somewhere. Everything I work with is sort of collected, and that's kind of a landscape research in my head. Like if I get really stuck on using broken, extension cords and electrical wires, I'll be out researching and trying to like find this material. Also, like I have this show that opens tomorrow. I'm in a group show. There's 5 New Orleans artists, and I feel like I'm very, like, it's kind of insane that I'm not installing it myself. I haven't done that maybe ever. So a space I'm putting something in, I really like get really influenced and react to it. And because I'm not at that place, I'm like researching the city a lot, and I'm reading this biography. The person who made this city the most famous, I'm reading their biography. I'm halfway through it right now, and I'm going to watch 2 little biopic movies tonight. And hopefully this really cool sound piece will come out of it that I'll like bring to the space on Saturday. But yeah.
Who's the person? Who's the biography you're reading?
It's Robert Johnson.
Oh, because of Clarksdale.
Yeah. And you said you have a connection to Clarksdale.
Yes, I lived there between 2012, 2012, and I think like 2013 or 14. But I was also back and forth. I've been back and forth there too. What a beautiful place. I can't wait for you to go there.
Me too. What was the path to starting to live in Clarksdale? And you specifically told me, like, when I asked you about this, you're like, oh, I lived right on the Sunflower River. That was like you weren't like, yeah, I lived by the 7-Eleven or I lived by the Walmart. You're like, I lived by this specific river.
Yeah, right on the Sunflower River. So like I was living in Oxford, Mississippi, because my cousin owns a restaurant and music venue there, so I was working there. And then, but I really wanted to take a trip down the Mississippi River because my undergraduate thesis was so much about the Mississippi River, the piece of writing that I did. So I was like, I really want to see this river, like,
right,
as it breathes and lives. And so then I was planning this trip, and then my whole family was like, you can't do a trip down the river. Like, you're not allowed to. I mean, and kind of rightfully so. Like, I had no experience as a canoe or paddler or anything like that. So then anyway, I happened to be like going down these research holes in Oxford looking for opportunities to do this. And then I realized, like, oh my gosh, there's like basically 1, maybe 2 groups of people who paddle the lower Mississippi River, and one of them, who's like, he's a bit of a guru of the river, he was like down the road, like literally, I lived on Highway 6, and he was like, I mean, Clarksdale is Highway 6, and it ends at Sunflower River. It was so cool, and then I moved there and ended up living there for like 2 years, and did canoe trips on the Mississippi River with this company.
So cool.
And the Sunflower River.
So cool.
It was very New Orleans-like, because, I mean, like, some of those rivers in the Delta that they even call them bayous, and so there's, it's all flooded. It used to be able to be, like, flooded like a swamp, the whole Delta, but now it's all levied off. But, so it's got a lot of environmental similarities.
Right. The man-made intersections.
Kind of stuff. Like, is that something you've been excited about when you've been thinking about going there?
Wait, say it again?
Or is like the environmental like aspect something you're excited about going there with the research, or?
I think so. It's funny because like every waterway I've done my annual performance on has been in Louisiana so far, but I'm not opposed to like branching out. The Mississippi River is long. I think, you know, I think if I have enough time, I definitely want to like, I don't know, get on the Sunflower River, but like definitely see it. Definitely see it. Yeah, it's funny. I like how you were like, my family thought this was not wise. And I think it's like, I think it's hilarious that like we have this drag family together and we like queer people get to create their own family and get to like create, sometimes job paths get destroyed because you're just too queer and so you have to make your own path. So I think that's like, I don't know, it's cool that we know each other enough that we can like drop in these like real life things versus me never having met you and just, you know, going off the cuff. But
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually met my family, like my biological family.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
What did you mean about the drag family?
Oh, I don't know, just that we're in that family together, and sometimes there can be moments where, yeah, I don't know, stuff and things. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so you were saying that the Delta used to flood a lot, but now with the levees it doesn't as much, and that's like a technological thing humans have done. And
Definitely.
And is that like pro-human in that instance? The levee?
Yeah, they levied off all of that land basically for farming because it grows so much cotton, or grew so much cotton. Now it's like corn and soybeans, I think. And a lot of cotton too, still. Anyway, so I guess maybe that's where Robert Johnson comes into the story.
Yeah, he's really interesting. It's like there's this huge mythology around him. Like the book has devil in the title, and like Clarksdale is the crossroads where he like allegedly sold his soul to the devil for his skills. And I think that can be really interesting, as like artists don't always get approval by like mainstream society. Like everyone enjoys culture, but sometimes it's seen like that life is sometimes seen as like backwards. And there in the book there's like a lot of like knocking heads between gospel music and blues music.
Yeah.
And there's this one person who straddled both, who was like trying to be a preacher and a blues musician, and eventually like the churches wouldn't, they're like, no, you can't have the both, not allowed. But yeah, I think where was I going with this? Yeah, so the crossroads, and there was a lot of like eyewitnesses or close people to Robert Johnson who were like, I don't know about that, meeting the devil at midnight at this place, that never really happened. But he did practice with his like main mentor. He did practice at midnight frequently and in cemeteries. So it's, yeah, and it's like, is that because it was quiet and no one would bother them? Is that because like everyone wanted to be outside in nature? There's these like musical people and like they needed, you know, these hippies out here, you know, they're not like, they got away from these other jobs and like, oh well, let's like, you know, what was it? I don't know. But yeah, this book has been really interesting, and it makes me really wish, I don't know, I met a week ago, I was at this dinner party and met a musicologist the first time, and I'm like, why didn't this person get invited to show something? Like, I don't know, the art world's really bizarre to me, and there's a lot of doors that are shut on certain people and open on for other people, and I don't know. Anyway, lots to think about.
I have a question about one thing you said. Like you said, one of these, like an artist who kind of is demonized from the most of culture because they're like seen as being close to the devil, but that he was somebody who like managed to kind of do both at the same time, angel and devil. Like, is that why do you relate to that?
Yeah, that wasn't Robert Johnson specifically. It was this person that was like in his orbit. I can't remember their name, but I think that I don't know if I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. I think living in multiple realms is always something that is fascinating to me when other people do it, because I think most of society thinks you can't be more than one thing, you know? And I don't know. I think contradictions exist, right? Like, artists are seen as like, I'm this sole creator. I have had no help. I've been in my studio quiet and alone. And with my practice, I like try and explode those ideas. Like, most of my projects take a group. And even before this bubble walking performance series I do called Magenta Alert, even before that, like, I would like gather lots of people. And with the bubble thing, it's hard to see that there were so many people involved. But like, you know, I'm not always, like, I have quiet time making things alone, and I have like, I don't know, you're not, everyone's interconnected and interdependent, and I think the myth of this like genius solo artist who like got no help and like just thinks, you know, it's not true at all. I don't know if it's like that for writing or what, but I feel like there are some things that people like for the, yeah, there's some things for the process that people don't really understand, and like, and there's one way to like sort of maintain those ideas about the art world or like the art practice, and there's ways to be like, no, that's not how it is actually. But
I think with writing it, it's difficult to write with other people, but it is, I feel like if I were able to find a way to write with other people in a group dynamic, then it would make me so much more like effective. Like, I wouldn't just sit there and struggle alone so much and just honestly not do as much work, because and that's why I do so many other group things like the flagettes.
right.
Wait, question. Okay, so when you were introduced, when I first asked you about the research, I feel like it would be an important time for me, or for the interview, I guess, to be able to be like, can you, because also, like, I don't know this, but like, so when you were like, oh, this thing that you've been researching for the last 6 years, you just haven't stopped, like, what is introduce, like, what is,
yeah, so the project, yeah, so in 2017 in the spring, I walked in a bubble on the water, like a plastic PVC bubble I bought like on eBay from China, and I had plans to walk in it, but I think it's grown kind of big. I had plans to walk in this bubble. I did it. I put that short video in an art show at Mehle Gallery, in a group show. It was like a video on a CRT, aka like a tube television, like old school tube television, and the bubble was like inflated around it. And I had rotoscoped, which is like a editing term where frame by frame you put a shape over something and you sort of disguise it. Or that's the way I rotoscope. There's a lot of ways to like get a certain effect, but it's something about frame by frame you're changing and editing something. So like I frame by frame sort of covered up my body with a certain color, and I think I also might have flashed like a map or a route. Also, it was a minute ago, 2017 May, but I think that's what the first sort of piece was that action of doing it on Bayou Bienvenue, and then...
Oh, that's what I was going to ask, where is Bayou Bienvenue?
Right, that site, the first little test run was Bayou Bienvenue. And since then, it's been a lot of different locations. I could, like, list. Here, I have a little paper. Let's see. And I think, like I was saying, geography, like, before this show in Mississippi, I'm like, oh my god, I'm not accessing the geography of this space yet. I have to research Robert Johnson. I have to do something about the geography in the surrounding area. It's kind of Paramount. I showed a lot of these pieces in a show in Araby. Okay, we've got Lake Fosse, which is kind of the Atchafalaya Basin.
Mm-hmm.
The next location was, I believe it was West Pearl River, aka Honey Island Swamp, aka my hometown of Slidell. Another location was Lac des Allemands. That one was in 2020. Another was Mississippi River in 2019. Another was...
Where did you do the Mississippi River?
So, that one was near Algiers Point. It was a really interesting location. My friend Maiba was in town. Well, I think she moved back home during deep COVID, right at the start, right before deep COVID, actually. But yeah, she photographed that one. And then Nisa East, who moved back during deep COVID to Australia, she did the videography, and then my friend Liz Campbell helped me with like the safety. So usually it's 3 people that I work with during each of these performances that are like annual. Yeah, the Mississippi River one was interesting. I was trying to be as safe as I could. And it's definitely like the final shot is like, there's definitely storytelling and mythology to that. Yeah, it's usually like a 3-person team in addition to me. So like 4 people out there each time.
Okay, and then so were you walking on like the Badger or like the river?
Yeah, so there was a couple of shots that we took that was on the river proper, and there was like some barricades to being able to like some blockages where it would be more safe than others. There was like some pylons and things that had used to be something, and the infrastructure crumbled a bit, and it's not functional anymore. So there was some shots there, and there were some shots when I was just kind of on this infrastructure on concrete and not on the water. Because similar, right? We have like mythologized characters that sold their soul to the devil. We've got like some shots were on the water, some shots were on these broken concrete right near the water. Yeah, there's this piece that's really, I find lovely by Yoko Ono, where she let out flies in a museum. It was like in a group show, but I think like I looked into it more and she didn't actually do that. I don't know. It's just, I think illusion is really fascinating. And I have such a like, I feel like sometimes I make work and even like more like just performance-y things. I'll like have very direct sort of, just direct, like literal, sort of literalness to stuff, to like objects and visuals. Just very literal. Yeah.
Such as?
I don't know. I think like walking, like, okay, I'm going to make a work about nature. And I am a person who went through Hurricane Katrina, and like water is a very, you know, I like looking at ripples and ripples of flags or ripples of water, and that's mesmerizing, but also like I have this whole water trauma with flooding, and so it's just like, okay, let me make a work about that. Oh, let me like literally walk on it. Like, oh, do I have religious trauma with that? There's a certain character in religion who did that. Like, do people walk in protests and parade? Like, and that they're also out in the public and on site. It feels very literal to me, like all these connections, but like maybe people don't see those necessarily, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of literal, but
Yeah, like walking.
yeah, I have a big love for like R.I.P. recently this year, Pope L, their artwork, and Janina Antoni's artwork, and Bruce Nauman, and they all were like these performance artists who really kind of just explored what it is to make stuff that doesn't necessarily end in an object that you can buy and put on your wall. And it's, yeah, I think I like that kind of thing.
Like a gesture or like a moment.
A moment. Yeah.
I would love to see it when you do it one day.
Ooh, yeah. I hope you move back.
Do you ever do live ones?
I don't. What do you mean live? You mean like with a bigger audience, or like
performances out of it, like invite an audience?
Right. I think I remember you invited me the Lugaroo parade. You're like, what if could you do that during our boat parade or like carnival? I think you invited me one time and I was just nervous or busy or something, and I was like, But I don't know. I audiences are really interesting to me, even internet audiences. It's like very good for your standing on the internet to have selfies and to have reels where your face is there and talking. And it's like, I'm a performance artist, but I don't like to do those things really. Like, it's like, it kind of, it bothers me. So I think if I ever do it live, I don't know. I think, you know, if a biennial asked me to do it live and gave me a nice big budget, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say no. So, yeah. Anyone listening out there?
Why would you do it for a biennial for money and not for other people? Or like what would it?
I think there's something to say about discomfort and about surviving under capitalism and how...
So like it would just, like you wouldn't really feel like it was worth it to overcome the discomfort of a public event unless it was worth it.
Right. Yeah.
Money-wise. I mean, that makes sense.
It does. I don't know. But I think special things can happen, and you never know. You never know. I don't know.
It seems like it has a very intimate feeling, like the way that you're saying that it's like a lot of these things, like when you make them, that they are actually a group activity, but at the same time it's not a spectacle in the way you might think it would be. It's like an intimate group thing, it sounds like.
I try and make it that. Yeah, it's fun to get to know people more or get to know new people that way. And I think it's definitely a sort of vulnerable activity. I can't do it on my own. I literally cannot. Someone else has to zip me in there, you know, and unzip me. It's pretty vulnerable. And I have a very weird relationship with being seen. And so who I choose to see me do this and like archive it is very thought out and very deliberate. So yeah, I like it being small. Small feels nice. Small feels very nice. Yeah.
Can you describe some of the intimate aspects of it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes we will all carpool there, and that can be like, oh, the road trip together. And like if I've researched a place or like seen that like, oh, this location is really in the news this year, I'm going to choose this location. And we all go there together. That can be kind of a really, like road trips are really, come on, you're stuck in this car with somebody, like you have to like take bathroom breaks. Whose music are we playing? So that can be super intimate. There's like been a moment where I think I had some other interview where I made a mistake and I went too deep somewhere and I got really excited about someone's technology, and then I like went on a cypress knee and it broke, and I was worried something really terrible was going to happen, but then it didn't. And that was like, I don't know, I guess something about high pressure situations is really attractive to me, and there's a way to like connect with other people quickly is if you're both in a high pressure situation, right? And I think
the high pressure is like the logistics of not popping this balloon and you not getting swept away in a current, or like what is it?
Yeah, there's always a safety person, and we have like certain signals and certain eye contact where like I need to take a break. The first time before I did this, like way back in May, just a little test run, everything on Google was like, you'll die. Don't be in this. You'll die within this amount of time. You'll lose your breath in this amount of time. I was like, oh no, well, is this true? I don't know. I'm going to like bring someone I really trust and like, we'll see. And then nothing, you know, it was kind of more bark than bite. The Google was a little bit, there's some misinformation there. So I think.
Wow, does it feel like that?
No, I think if you ever, I'm sure I don't live up north, but if you're ever like in a low altitude place, or if you're ever like exercising and you're like a little short of breath, that's kind of what it feels like towards the end. But you know, you take breaks and you monitor things and try and be as objective as possible. And if you're not, if you're a type of person who like gets swept up in things that are exciting, it's really good to have objective people around you, right? To be like, all right, I know I will be so excited I might forget about a logistic safety thing, even if I planned out all the safety things before, and I like will plan all the safety things after. Like in the moment I might get swept up and forget something, so I'm gonna have you like here next to me, right? So yeah, and there's a thing with the bubble that it gets older, and it in the beginning it was kind of tricky to walk because it was so taut, and that, you know, and it was just very filled with air. And then as it gets older, it's like there's a couple little more leaks and things, and it's like very wrinkly, and your legs can get trapped sort of in the water the more it deflates. And so you have to just really be aware of that. Yeah. Age, I don't know. Yeah.
We're aging along with your bubble.
Yeah. I was telling one person that like whenever I'm really done with the project, I want to just like throw it in the landfill, or maybe like walk in a landfill and then just like leave it there. Leave it to rest.
Oh my god, do you know that landfill that's like out, what the Bayou Sauvage, out like that, do you have a landfill in mind?
I don't know. People talk about like a certain dump where people shoot guns at or something, but I haven't gone to that. People have told me like, oh, bring your animals there, or but I went to Bayou Sauvage recently. I was kind of researching, I wanted to like make these sculptures that were newer for me, and I wanted to pick up some foliage from there. And it was weird because I used to have a mentor out there, and things kind of got, you know, we're not mentors anymore. But it was funny to go over there, just feel all the feelings, and get the plants and kind of seal them in plastic with a heat gun. That was newer to do.
I want to see it now.
Yeah, I might put some photos on the internet soon of it. It's interesting. It's kind of like, I feel like a lot of my work are memento moris, or like remember you must die, like, and kind of showing the passage of time and trying to freeze it, or showing connections you have to others or others' objects and trying to hold on to that, and how absurd that is. But
is that what memento mori means?
yeah, remember you must die.
I didn't actually ever know that that's what that meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, I have to ask more about the bubble.
Okay.
So Mississippi River, you're still reading out the list of where you've done it.
Oh, right, yeah. So Mississippi, let's see. All these papers. We did this southern easternmost point of Louisiana. So I like put like Gulf of Mexico. I did that with my friend Leon in 2021. Most recently, Livaudet Bayou, which is right near, it's in Violet, Louisiana. I did that with Kinsey Smith. That's the most recent one. We did, I'm missing a few. Yeah, there's a big list on the internet, but I don't know if I will cancel the call if I go pull it up. So Yeah, Atchafalaya Basin, Lake Fosse. There were 3 photos from that. The second one was, I believe, West Pearl River, aka Honey Island, aka Slidell. There's 2 photos from that, so 5. And then I think the next one was the Mississippi River. If I look at the order of all the things. So yeah, Mississippi. And then the COVID year was Lac des Allemands. It was 2020. And then 2021 was... I went back to Bayou Bienvenue. I know that. I think that was either 2021 or 2022. And that was interesting to do. It was like, because the first time I did that, it was just literally a test run on only a video, and like, you know, not an artist was helping me. It was just like someone very much in my personal life. And so to go again and like, first of all, everything was really dead. Like all the water hyacinth was so brown, and that was really an interesting visual. And I went with my friend Caitlin Rydnord, and then my friend Danny, and then my friend Ricky from Laplace was safeties, and that was really interesting because, yeah, I think it's interesting to like have new friends and have like old friends you really talk constantly with and you know well. But yeah. I like how that street got changed. It's like Fats Domino Way, the street that's like leads up to Bayou Bienvenue.
Oh yeah, from Caffin, I guess. Is that what it used to be called?
I think so. Yeah, I like how the streets have been changing. I think that's important.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. What do you think is helpful with like your process of stuff? You were saying like if you collabed more, you might have more output with writing, and you wouldn't be so like multiple streams to survive kind of thing. And I don't know, I know comedy writers get in a group and write together sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I feel the process is so funny. Like someone asked me recently like what's your inspiration or whatever, and I'm like, if I'm upset or if I'm bored.
Yeah, for me it's if I'm upset or if I have a deadline.
Yeah, urgency is the best.
Sometimes there's mania, sometimes there's like, you know, joy, and but yeah, I think it's a lot of you know, like being.
Yeah, you've got that big deadline coming up, your big thesis.
I know.
That's cool.
So that's what it is for me. Like, do you you only do it once a year? Is that the deal with it?
Yeah, that's the deal. I think the first year I did it twice though. I think I did it in June and September.
Okay. So What is that like, or like how come it's a yearly thing?
I think that rituals are important to me. I used to be really religious and I like escaped it. I escaped the brainwashing really, really late in life. And rituals are still pretty important to me because of that. Either like a weekly or a yearly, or like they're still very important. I think it's just kind of like a muscle. Like there's another project I try and do once a year too, but it's a small sculpture and I do it alone. But yeah, there's something to like make an arbitrary deadline for myself, and again, urgency. Sometimes that ends up being December 29th that I'm doing it, you know, like because the urgency.
You do it on December 29th.
Sometime, I mean, a few times, a few times. But I think it's also a thing with like, you know, what do I do to cope with stuff? Sometimes I work too much, and I think that December is kind of hard for a lot of queer people, November and December. So I think, you know, maybe one year I'll be like really ahead of the game, and I mean, not that I haven't been ahead of the game other years, but I think sometimes, yeah, intentionality versus urgency, both are good. Planning ahead is not always the best. Sometimes the best things come at the last second. You know, sometimes like, amen. Sometimes new information is given to you at the last second. You're like, I'm ready. And this show, like, I was given very little notice, and I feel like if I got more notice, I don't know, like, would it have been better? Would it have not been better? We'll find out.
So are you showing all magenta alert?
Yeah, I'm showing all the flat pieces that I like framed a bunch and like did a bunch of finishing. I had this show at Nikki at Mehle Gallery from like, when was it? January 19th to March 2nd. It was called Souvenir, and I had lots of different types of work, like tablets on the wall that had video pieces. I had these giant sculptures I made hanging from the ceiling, and then I had like maybe 7 collaborative photos. Like my collaborators made such beautiful work, and I was able to print some new ones and able to build. I like build the picture frames out of sinker cypress, which if you don't know what that is, like someone goes and grabs fallen cypress trees and like drags them out of the water, and so it's not unnatural that they cut it off. It's just like, oh, this fell and someone grabbed it. So that was really fun to get back in the practice of like building a picture frame and like using my hands and getting in the zone with that. But yeah, all flat stuff. I'm gonna bring a sound piece though, so you know, they may or may not be like, yes, you're allowed to have this sound piece, but I'll find out. Wait, say it again.
What's the sound piece that you're bringing?
Well, I think like the last piece I did, the last show I did, the solo show Souvenir, I like was really focused on the fact that it was in the lower 9, right? And what does that mean? It was during Mardi Gras that the show opened, and kind of what does that mean as a location, that there's like changing neighborhoods and like this visual art space and things like that. And I made this audio piece that had, in the middle chunk, it was these cruise ship commercials spliced up and like some plain audio and then fast forwarded, and just sort of the propaganda of it all is always fascinating to me. And the cruise ship, you'll see it pass by all the time in that area, like underneath the bridge from the upper 9 to the lower 9 on that waterway, or like on the river. And it's just kind of funny to me. Or like during Mardi Gras, everyone's just revelry in the quarter, and you'll see out those like the giant boat, this giant thing. And so I had you remember what?
Oh yeah, I remember when I lived in the Holy Cross, and it would just be like such a doldrummy day, and it was just like, maybe something bad had happened, and like, I don't know, it's just so, and then it's just a life, I don't know, you get in a huge fight with your friend or whatever, and then all of a sudden, you're out in the street, and then there's like this cruise ship towering over your head, and they're playing like Earth, Wind, and Fire, and you're like, what is this thing? Like, why is, like, this thing is, there's a cruise ship over my shoulder right now, while I'm also dealing with the other stuff that's in my head. In the neighborhood, you know?
Yeah, that tourist economy, you know? It's fascinating. So I had some spliced up commercials and stuff in the middle, and in the beginning chunk was there was a deep freeze, 2-night freeze in New Orleans, and I went out to the lake and I recorded like 20 minutes or something of the wind. It was like 13, 14 mile an hour wind of Lake Pontchartrain just like hitting into those concrete steps, and it felt really beautiful to just be that close and like getting drenched in like that wind. So I like recorded that, and I also recorded maybe like 30 or 40 minutes of New Orleans Athletic Club swimmers in the pool, and all those sounds and what that was. So yeah, it was interesting because sometimes I'll do these audio collages from source material, and it's just kind of annoying on purpose. And this time I was like, oh, I'm like, are all my sharp little quills, like, am I like a little softer? I'm like giving the audience just the sound of water, for most of this audio collage. It's kind of, I don't know, changes. But yeah, for this new one, I'm not sure. I guess I'm not sure. It's gonna formulate. I definitely want to have a lot of like the location in mind, because it's a very specific location. So
You mean in Clarksdale?
yeah, it is. And I know some of these documentaries are on YouTube in public, and I've done that in the past where I use like public domain sort of stuff. Like I did this piece that centered on the Olympics, and I'd used some like footage and audio from that. That was just public domain YouTube sort of thing. So I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I don't really have a title for the audio piece yet for that. The one that I was just describing from last show was called Long Stay. Oh yeah, I also had a tiny bit of like a Katrina reporter dialogue in that audio, like the very end of it. So I don't know, those have been fun to make.
I want to hear them.
Yeah, I could send you a little link. I'm always weird about audio collages and about like video installations because I really, really, really want people to come enjoy them in real life. So I try and limit people's access online to them. For better or worse, I don't know. Some people are very forthcoming about their more, multimedia works online, and that maybe that's a better strategy, but I don't know.
It's always hard to know what to put online and what to keep in real life.
Yeah. Yep. You want to hear my artist statement for my last show?
This is the show in the Lord Ninth
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
It's a little poem. Anyway. Here at the church porch, sip wine, undefeated finish line. Whale tail red and blue. The port is here, I heard. The new art is here, I heard. Survivors of the Neighborhood, 2005. Bobble, bobble, bead, souvenir. I want to vacate your vacation. I want to infantilize your fantasy. I want to flood every building that thinks I am too visible to be inside it. A fun ship can cut through upper, lower river, lake, and hope a survivor of the neighborhood can swim.
Wow, damn. You're coming for them. You're coming for them. You're coming for their fantasies. Damn. I wish I could have seen it. That's really... wait, it's not it. When was it up?
It was up January 19th to March 2nd. You're always in and out, though, so you're like flight, so no worries. I'd like to document stuff. Yeah. I love this filter you have on your face right now. You look like surged up. You look nice. You went to, what is that place? Kronos? You went to Kronos, got some little injections. You look good.
No, I did no such thing.
I disagree.
I came into the world looking like this.
Like what?
Like this.
It's those lips. Cool.
Okay. Let's see. This is really cool to learn about. I don't know. I'm so glad you asked me to do this.
I'm glad you agreed. Yeah, tell me more about your writing stuff that you're excited about, or like what are you ready to finish with your thesis? What memories from Sunflower River do you have?
Well, yeah, let's see. The Sunflower River. Well, let's see. I don't know, it's hard to explain because with my thesis, I've just been working on it and I'm just so in the weeds with it.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with the application, the technology that does the it's just all the little nuts and bolts of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But are you gonna be in Clarksdale for a while?
I think I'm just gonna go on Saturday, because the festival is Saturday for Robert Johnson, and allegedly there's gonna be another reception in May, but I can't remember. I can't remember actually all the dates, but yeah, there's a Juke Joint Festival Saturday, and it's a blues festival for Robert Johnson. Yeah, it's been really cool to get to know him. Like, he was rejected by his family and just kept traveling everywhere to be able to do music and be able to not be a sharecropper, because basically you're a indentured servant when you're a sharecropper. It's not much different from enslaved African Americans. You know what I mean? It was like a legal way to like basically continue the thing. And he didn't want to do that. He like had this hyper fixation on music, was really talented at it, and he just figured out a way to do it. Like, kept just sleeping at other people's houses to be able to travel. And, you know, it was very intergenerational. Like, he had a mentor, Ike Zimmerman, and there was a moment where he, like, you know, he was kind of he was this like drinker, this womanizer, this musician. He wasn't a gospel church guy. And, but he did, there was a moment where like he did fall in love, and he like bought all these trinkets to this woman. She was different, and her son was very interested in music, and for a second he was like a mentor to him. But I think he eventually found a different mentor, because there was a road trip together where they went off together and were doing music together. But then there was a moment with an injury with a truck or something, and it's because he was looking back and like taking care of the younger kid, and he like, something happened with the truck, and they stopped being, that work-life balance got messed up, and they stopped working together, and he like went off with another older musician to travel instead. But yeah, I'm excited to
caring about people. It sounds like he was constantly caring for people.
I don't know. I think there was both. I think there was a little of both, right? Because people cared for him. Like, he had like been in multiple different homes and stuff, and like an older sister helped him like either make his first guitar, or like make this type of thing against a wall that was like a guitar. It was just the strings. And yeah, I don't know, it was a very much taking a village moment. And yeah, I don't know, I haven't finished yet. I'm halfway through the biography, so there might be more. Maybe in his older years he'll be more caretakery and caring, but he, you know, I think he did everything right. He was trying to have his music career. He like, when he was really in love, he like stopped for a minute. He stopped for love, and like was like working on the farm again to try and provide. But then she went out of town or something, and he got the itch, and he like just, oh, I gotta play as many shows as I can. I've got to like learn from as many musicians as I can. And he had a sort of relationship with mystery. Like, I think, you know, some people they don't really like to be in public or have a weird relationship with being seen. And he was a performer, but like he would sometimes turn his back to people. But it was mostly other musicians. He didn't want people to copy the way he did stuff with his hands on the guitar, which I thought was interesting. Because there's some like myth of him recording against the wall, recording with his face to the corner of a room, and they're like, that's not true. Like, there's an artist who just painted a portrait and it made it seem like that, but that's not actually like the way he did things, which is cool. It's like art shaping history, and like, this is why we have to do these things, and it's why we have to archive, right? Like, I don't know, it's kind of who gets the opportunities and stuff, and it's all really weird. The art world's weird. Yeah.
It's cool to hear you talk about him so much as an artist, rather than like either this mythical creature or an entertainer, or just specifically a musician. Like, you know, that's to kind of, I guess it makes me realize that it's like, makes me think of you or Christy. It's like, you know, like y'all are very much like, it's like you're in the same family, you know, you can understand each other in a very immediate way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool to have Christy back in town. She helped photograph the first performances I was doing on the water. And I wasn't even going to ask her. I was so nervous about like getting help from anything. But my friend Jackie Rawls was like, I'll ask Christy for you. I'm like, Christy's really stressed out and like, that's my friend. I don't want to like put more on her. And Jackie's like, I think she'll be interested. I'm going to ask her. And I was like, okay. I was just going to do it and not really document it. Just like do it for the action, right? And like be able to have like writing about it or something that wasn't a photo document. But yeah, it's cool Christy Knipe is back here for a second. Yeah.
When are you gonna film your next one?
I don't know. I was almost gonna work with Beck Markel, who is a scientist, and they work with Glass Half Full. They do the planting of the plants into the sand that they make out of the glass recycled. And we know each other, and we were going to work last year, but then the timing didn't work out. So I think if I'm able to do the timing for a spring walk, then Beck will be my safety collaborator. I met this person, Kache, through my friend Antonia at the opening, and she was immediately like, hey, I do a lot of nature work. I love shooting drone. We need to work together. And I was like, oh, okay. So I have a couple, and I don't know, I really want to work with Kinsey Smith again. I really loved that Kinsey always works in black and white, and that's the way their brain likes to photograph, because I think, I was saying, when I'm ready to hang this project up, I'm going to, go to the landfill. I think there's an iteration of this project where I'm like, maybe I'll always do black and white now, because my 2023 walk was black and white, and I'm like, maybe that's the new moment, right? I need to listen to the whims, and I need to go with where I need to go. But yeah, I want to do Norco, but I really want to go slow with that and make sure things are safe. First of all, I'll make sure I really know a lot. But I think Norco is named after a refinery. It's a city named after a refinery. So I think I've been thinking about that place a lot. So I don't know. But maybe I'll pivot and do another location. I'm not sure yet. But I think if I did that in the spring before it got too hot, that might be good.
Oh my god, I can't imagine being in there.
Yeah, I was there in June one time. It was wild.
You mean inside the bubble or in
Yes,
Norco?
in the bubble. It was wild.
Danger.
Yeah, you just take more breaks. Drink more water.
Yeah. Yeah. Jay, I have to go meet. Did you meet Aldrin and Amanda at the wedding?
I'm not sure.
They're my friends from Sweden, and they do a lot of performance stuff, and
Oh, cool.
they've been my performance family here.
Fun.
I have to go meet them now.
Oh, cool. Have fun.
We're doing a performance coming up.
Cool.
Daisies goes to the museum.
Oh. Awesome. Tell me more about that later.
Okay.
Thanks for talking with
Do you have
me.
any more questions that you need me to ask you for this,
Oh, I don't know.
anything that you want the people to know?
I don't know.
Is there anything that you just...
I think I want to shout out that Ute Petit has been building earth mounds. So it's really funny to me that Prospect, New Orleans, all of a sudden making an earth mound on Lafitte Greenway when Ute has been doing that on ancestral land. So that's all this is my final note of kind of art world gossip.
Who's Ute?
Oh, they go by Swamp Bender on Instagram. They were also, I was in this show that New Art Dealers Alliance, which is not New Orleans based. New Art Dealers Alliance curated this art show through this Los Angeles curator, and it was apocalypse themed. There's 24 artists, and there were 2 Louisiana artists on that list, which makes sense to me. Apocalypse works.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And Ute was the other Louisiana artist. They're really cool. But anyway, earth mounds are interesting, and land art is interesting, and earth mounds, solar eclipses, indigenous people, I don't know, who who gets the spotlight, who gets the biennial credit, who gets what, like, I don't know. I think all of it's really weird. So I just want to, like, throw that wrench right at the end, maybe.
Well, I have to respond and say that, like, they are a group of indigenous artists.
That's true. It's true.
Doing it in, like, a really cool, like, public benefit kind of way that, like, I mean,
And they made like a radio show to go with it too, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and, like, all this programming, like, I think that, and I was gonna study them, like, that specific, you know, like, structure for my master's thesis, actually.
Oh, awesome.
And I just think it's really amazing to put any kind of piece of elevation in New Orleans, like land elevation. Like, one of the most influential things that I've learned in my program is, like, just how important it is to have variation and elevation in their play areas. Like, because it such an important sense of perspective and, like, and this physical feeling of suddenly not being so small.
Ooh.
Like, and I think that, like, I would think about playing on the levee when I was a kid, or, like, on Monkey Hill, or, like, the very few times there was any elevation, and I think, like, New Orleans is so important to have that, and then to be able to connect it with indigenous, like, stories of these places that used to be there all over the Mississippi, like, floodplain, like, so I don't know, I think it's
Yeah, I think the biennial's trying. I think the biennial's trying though, because some years they have a very small amount of New Orleans artists and a very small amount of, like, and I think having this like intertribal indigenous group that lives in Louisiana is a big step. But I'm always just wanting more. I'm like, but why not Ute? She's been working on that, you know, like, why isn't she given that opportunity? But yeah, I think it is good.
I don't know anything about the decision making or anything.
Me neither. I'm grass on that food chain of the art world for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go look up Ute's art.
Yeah.
But first I go to Daisies, goes to the museum.
Okay. Exciting. Really, really good to talk with you.
You too, thanks for asking me. I'm sorry I should have told you needed to be done by 6, but...
You're good.
Anyway.
This is a perfect amount of time.
We can do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again sometime.
We can do it again. Yeah.
Alright. Bye, Chris.
Bye.